Hello, my name's Steve Barrett. I'm the editor-in-chief of PR Week. I'm delighted to be here with Tony Signore, who is the CEO and managing partner of Taylor Global. And Tony, welcome to PR Week, and it's great to have a chat with you. Reason we're talking today is because you have just been the subject of a Harvard Law School case study, which is very unusual for a PR agency. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that came about and why did they choose you? Because I don't think the law school has actually ever looked at a PR agency before.
Well, they were very intrigued in the transformation process of Taylor. I believe they came to learn about our organization and the change back in 2007 when we were selected as overall agency of the year in North America. And they decided to reach out to the Public Relations Council to learn a little bit more about this organization and the fact that it was willing to make the necessary sacrifices in moving away from the wrong client partners to pursue and be fully immersed with a very select group, and at the same time infuse the intellectual capital that would allow this organization to be true partners. You see, there have been a number of Harvard case studies over the years that have focused on the impact of loyalty with the client partners, the impact on the bottom line. And we were able to demonstrate in moving away from, believe it or not, more than 70 clients down to 15 client partners, significant growth for the organization. So that was really the reason they wanted to take a closer look at Taylor.
That's a very bold move to think about doing that, and presumably part of the rationale behind it was that you're on this merry-go-round of dealing with lots of clients, doing campaign work, pitching all the time for bits of business. And was that some of the rationale behind it?
Steve, that's an excellent point. You know, this merry-go-round, constant pitching. We learned a great deal back in 2003, 2004, when we studied some of the better global consulting firms like McKinsey and Bain. Very interesting point about McKinsey's business model and strategy and approach to new business. They've made a decision as well to focus on and fully immerse themselves in a small group of partners. There has been much less in the area of aggressive new business pitching. They wanted to put themselves in a position to understand the client partner's business as well as, if not even better than the client themselves. So Taylor wanted to move in that direction, and we felt we can deliver our best work with a very select group of client partners that we decided to pursue and be desirable in their eyes.
Yeah, so you're doing, say, $1 million plus with 15 clients rather than doing, say, 50 to 100 grand with 70 clients.
There's no question about that. Again, it all comes back to this fully immersive approach, and we felt that was the ideal model for us. Now, you mentioned earlier this was a bit bold and risky. You know, there are many organizations that have felt that we are putting too few eggs in this basket, and our feeling is this: when you do have this true partnership that you establish with this select group, the chances of them consolidating away from your organization are much narrower. And in fact, the old business model that we lived by back in 2003, 4, and 5, I don't believe that organization would have survived the economic downturn. But yet, here comes the downturn, 2008, and Taylor comes out of that even stronger than prior to. Why is that? Because of this unique business model of establishing this partnership with a select group. Yeah. They recognized that, and they committed to us when they decided to consolidate.
And what was it like having the consultants in? Because these guys come in and they really take the microscope to your business, don't they? And they were in for 8 to 9 months doing a forensic analysis, but the whole process took something like 18 months. What was that like?
That's true. Well, certainly we respect the process, and in fact, you know, I always understood there was a tremendous sacrifice and commitment that was needed any time you decided to embark on such an examination by the likes of Harvard. But the appreciation has been magnified now that we have gone through the process, because they wanted to see Taylor inside and out over a 10-year period, 5 years prior to the transformation and 5 years following. They wanted to look at all of our client work. They wanted to speak to our client partners. They wanted to understand from them what the differences were. They wanted to speak to staff. How did we undergo this transformation, because again, it's a process that requires many years of sacrifice and commitment. It's not an event. To John Carter's point, I will say that it was at times a bit challenging. They wanted financials, as I said, going back 10 years, not just overall, but based on each and every account. They wanted to understand the profit margins. They wanted to understand the rationale behind the account teams that were servicing the business. But all in all, they were able to gain an appreciation for the type of work that we were doing, and the realization that we needed to evolve to provide greater value, and the steps taken to do so.
Okay, and finally, Tony, a couple of final points. One, what was the one thing you learned from the process, by having that analysis and the forensic analysis put on your business? And two, can people go and have a look at this case study if they want to?
Yeah. Well, there were many key learnings, but to try to narrow down one or two, when a professional service firm makes a decision to put forward what they describe as irreplaceable value, they must take a look under the hood and be very open and honest with themselves to determine if they are actually built to provide that level of service at the highest level on a consistent basis. In 2004, when we did that, Steve, we clearly did not have the goods to provide that level of service. So, we know we needed to infuse the intellectual capital, but we didn't quite understand the importance of ensuring that everyone in the entire organization, not just senior management, was fully on board and bought into this transformation effort, because it was going to require a number of years and a commitment, again, not just by senior management, but everyone within the organization. There is a significant impact on the culture, and that needs to be anticipated well in advance for any organization that is even contemplating such a major shift. The Harvard case study is available on the Harvard Law School website. It is available for sale. I understand it's actually $10 to receive an electronic copy, but I think the 25-page case is certainly an examination and an opportunity for many firms like ours, small, mid-sized organizations who are looking to find their place to put themselves in that upper right-hand corner. Everyone talks about moving away from that vendor status, but the sacrifice and the commitment that is required to put yourself in that upper right is quite significant, but it's an exhilarating exercise, and certainly a process that has paid great dividends, not just for Taylor, because this is not just for our organization, but this was for the client partners that we chose to represent.
Sure.
At the end of the day, it's all about providing greater value and what is required and needed for us to do so.
All right, Tony, well, thanks for explaining that, and a case study well worth checking out, I think, on the Harvard Law School website. And thanks for joining us today on PR Week.
Pleasure.